So FP Motion just released, and you might be wondering how to make a game with it. Well, I'm going to show you exactly that in this tutorial. We're going to try to recreate the Glock from CSGO by using FP Motion. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the Asset Store inside of Unity, go to the Low Poly FPS Pack free sample. We're going to click on Quick Look and click Download and then Import. Alright, now that that is done, we're going to go back to the scene and we're going to go to the Low Poly FPS Pack free, open it, find Demo Scenes, Weapon Demo Scenes, then go into Handgun and open the demo. Once in the demo, we're going to go ahead and focus on this controller, and as you can see, it has a Glock, which is what we need for this example. First thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and only grab the model. So let's click on it and then find arms underscore handgun underscore 01. Right click, copy, and then go ahead and delete the whole thing. Now we can go ahead and right click and then paste it. Now that we've done that, we just need to go ahead and delete or remove the components we don't need. Alright, that is our 3D model set up. So now we're going to go to FP Motion, Core, Examples, Core, Prefabs, and then drag the motion controller out. Now that we have the motion controller in here, we're going to go into Effects, Camera, Holster, and then duplicate the MP5. Then enable it, and then let's rename it to Glock. Now we can just go ahead and drag the handgun into the Glock and remove the arms and the MP5 model. Also, make sure to reset the transform for the handgun. Now, as you can see, currently we can't actually see the controller since it's not positioned inside the scene. So let's go ahead and find it and position it. Let's go ahead and reset. And now we have the controller with the Glock inside the scene. Let's also make sure the weapon type is set to semi-automatic, and then the rate of fire is set to normal and 0. That will make sure that you can shoot as soon as you can click. We can now disable the model, go to weapon states, we're going to duplicate these states and drag them out. Now go back to the Glock and drag these states into the weapon states. And let's go ahead and rename them to Glock. That is the basic setup to have the Glock. You might also have a problem if your controller doesn't have the calling mask on the FP camera set to FP. So make sure that is the case and it is actually properly set up. Also, make sure the Glock has the layer set to FP and then press yes. We should now be able to see the Glock in game. As you can see, something weird happens when we go ahead and switch to the Glock. And the reason behind that is the Glock currently has a camera attached to it. So we're going to go ahead and remove that camera first. Let's go to the Glock, arms, armature, camera, and then remove the main camera. We can now try to play again. And as you can see, everything is working properly. We now currently have our Glock set up. So, I'm now going to go ahead and just quickly start setting it up. And then at the end, I'll show you the settings, and I'll also leave them in the description so you can see exactly what they are. Alright, so as you can see, we currently have our idle set up, and all we needed to do is just change some values for the position. So now let's go ahead and set up the walk-in state as well. Alright, so as you can see, just by changing some values in the idle and walk states, we get this, which looks a lot like the Glock in CSGO. Now this still needs a bit of tweaking to get it to actually look like the CSGO Glock, but you get the point. You can just mess around with the values and you'll eventually get a really cool effect. Now one thing that is left here is that this package actually has animation. I'm talking about the low Poly FPS Pack. Now FP Motion is not actually currently using those animations. So let's go ahead and make FP Motion call those animations. So we're going to go to the Glock, to the arms, and add a weapon animator. Now we're going to go ahead and play. And when we pull out the Glock now, as you can see, we are currently using animations. The only animation that it's currently using is the idle, the shoot, and the takeout animations. So that is 3 animations that it's using. That makes it look a lot nicer. Now another thing you might have noticed is that the camera doesn't quite look like or behave like the camera behaves in CSGO. So in order to fix that, we're going to need a settings file for the camera. The way we do that is by assigning it to camera states inside the weapon on the Glock. So let's go ahead and create a state file like that. I'm just going to right click, create FP Motion and camera states, and call it Glock _ camera. We can now go ahead and just assign that into the camera states variable and then press play. As you can see, our camera is still doing some things, so let's try to get rid of a couple of them. So let's say we didn't want to have any bob. We can just go ahead and go into walk and set the bob to 0. As you can see, the camera now has absolutely no bob. It still has this strafing effect, which we might not need if we're trying to imitate the CSGO camera. So we can also get rid of that by just setting strafe to 0. Alright, so now that is a lot closer to what the CSGO camera and Glock look like. I'm just going to leave the final settings in the description, and you can check out exactly what I did to make the effect at the beginning of the video. Thank you for watching, and well, go ahead and check out FP Motion on the asset store if you haven't. See ya.